as I said this morning, I think there is a changing tide in terms of what I would call cancel culture in New Zealand. And I think since the election, we have seen more and more people stand up to what effectively was the bullying of the mainstream media and the often government-funded or taxpayer-funded experts who were used and trotted out by the mainstream media to suppress and demonise views and people who express views that the woke lovies didn't agree with. I think it would be fair to say that our next guest was the target of such attacks. She is still with us, however, and indeed, I understand, has had some limited success in clapping back, as the phrase goes, against one of our biggest legacy media institutions, the Herald, and I think in her day, the most outspoken of our disinformation experts funded by the taxpayer, Kate Hanna. We're joined now, of course, by Chantelle Baker. Chantelle, lovely to have you back on the platform. How are you?
Thanks, Sean. No, I'm great. And unlike you, I'm still young and happy for kids to jump in pools.
Oh, yeah, well, you've got some now, so you've just got to like them. You're not allowed to say that. I don't really wish I'd never had that kid. You're stuck with it now. Chantelle, talk us through the exchange of letters and what has happened between you and the Herald. And I understand that there's legal agreement to this and there may be some details you cannot disclose. I don't want to stuff things up for you. But tell me what the contretemps, the discussion you've been having with the Herald and Kate Hanna has been.
Yeah, so back during the floods, as you know, I raised some funds to get water up to Wairoa. It wasn't a lot of funds, only around, I think, 16 to 20,000, somewhere along that line. And we posted all our receipts as we went, but the Herald were quite, they chose to come after me during that time. They didn't like the fact, clearly, that I'd done a fundraiser, and they tried to find reasons to discredit me with a big article,
call you a grifter.
Me on the front page. Yep, they called me lots of things, and they implied lots of things about me that were false and defamatory. And as the word used earlier, they trotted Kate Hanna out to try and validate these claims. She, of course, said things like, I don't listen to the other side, even though I went to her show in Dunedin and sat front row and asked her questions to her face and asked if we could have a conversation. So I wrote to the Herald as they were writing this article about me. I knew they were writing an article because they had people contact me saying that they'd been, contacted by David and asked some very odd questions. So I wrote to the Herald editor saying, I'm concerned this article is going to be false and I will take this to court if that's the case. Sure enough, the article came out. It was full of horrible, false, accusatory and defamatory things about me, so I decided to sue them. They offered to settle with me. And now,
did you also threaten to sue Kate Hanna? Was she part of that threat?
Yes, Kate Hanna. Yes, so Kate Hanna was one of the main defendants. It was Kate Hanna alongside the Herald, New Zealand. So yes, so
she was first respondent, as they say, or would have been.
I don't even remember. I think it was maybe the Herald with Kate Hanna. Okay. So I would have to go back and check our initial filing.
That's all right. No, it's not. That's just a minor detail. Yep. So you say you people. Can you just tell us what was the most defamatory, or to you the most wicked thing they'd said about you?
I don't think you can pinpoint one thing in this article. If you read it, it was every single line. So I don't even know if you can say it's just one thing, but essentially it comes down to the fact that Kate Hanna called me an idiot and has been trying to imply that I'm a dangerous person across many platforms, the Herald included. And so in this article, she made a lot of statements about me that we managed to define as defamation, and they decided to settle with us instead of seeing it through to court. So I had to make the decision, if we settled this lawsuit, there was a far bigger one that I wanted to bring against Kate Hanna and Stuff News for Fire and Fury. So I decided to settle this one because then it would allow me to take the second suit, which I consider to be... So
you have now settled with the Herald and Kate Hanna in regards what the Herald published about you, which quoted Kate Hanna.
Yes. So they...
Have you had an apology? Have you had a written apology or a signed apology from the Herald and from Kate Hanna admitting that they defamed you and retracting the nasty things they said about you?
No. So they refused to retract the statements. They said that they refused to do a proper apology and retract all of the statements. They amended pieces of the article, But at the same time, it was either I choose to keep chasing them for that apology, or I settle that one so that I can chase a much bigger fish, which to me was fire and fury.
Okay. I want to come to that, but first, I just want to clarify there for what's happened with the Herald. They have settled with you, and was that by nature, and you don't have to disclose the sum, of a financial settlement?
Yes, it was a significant financial settlement. So although I
that
didn't
more
get
than
the full
covered your
recovery,
costs, your legal costs.
I don't know if I can disclose any more details than saying it was significant, but I'm very happy.
All right, you are very happy that the baby's going to be in nappies for a while. Chantelle, did it involve any admission from Kate Hanna or the Herald that they got it wrong, or did they simply refuse to do that?
They refused to do that. And it was part of, I had to decide if I was going to keep the faith to that apology.
Because it's as much as about them saying they got it wrong as the money, isn't it? That must have been quite a hard decision.
It was. It wasn't a decision that I took lightly. And if I didn't have the second court case that I wanted to do, I would have chased that apology through to all the courts and I wouldn't have settled. So that's just the end of the story. I would not
have they made a public statement about settling with you?
No, they haven't.
Oh, well, let's see if they report it now that we're reporting it here.
Maybe they're waiting for me to make the first move.
Okay, when was it reached, the settlement?
Roughly 3 weeks ago.
Gosh, they must have so much other news they need to publish.
So important. That cat would have died.
Okay, so let's move on. You've still got another action going. This is against Stuff, and they're, I think, publicly funded. Their publicly funded mockumentary, you could almost call it, that Paula Penfold made with a whole bunch of other lefties, called Fire and Fury. Do you believe that was a more egregious defamation of you?
Yes, I do. There were many more statements made in Fire and Fury, and it's actually a far more expensive court case to bring because we have to essentially file the entire documentary as defamation. We can't just file individual statements. So it's costing a lot more money, and I'm very thankful to Centrist, who are an alternative media group as well, that do more
well, they're funded by Canadian billionaire Jim Grennan, who runs various hedge funds. He's the guy behind Centrist.
You'll have to speak with Centrist about that. But all I know is that they are really helpful with funding lawsuits for a number of different people, and so they're helping to bring this lawsuit through because they believe that what Stuff News did was incredibly wrong in how they attacked me and multiple other people because I was not this dangerous neo-Nazi that Fire and Fury tried to portray me as.